The Galactic Council chamber was full of voices and pride. Leaders from every known race had gathered to hear Earth's ambassador speak. When the human mentioned ancient myths, dragons, gods, spirits, the room burst into laughter. Humans still believe in fairy tales, said a Zarn warlord, smirking. How primitive! The laughter grew louder. Some slapped the table, others shook their heads, but one figure stayed silent. General Carex, the most feared warrior of the Velkan Empire, didn't laugh. His sharp yellow eyes locked onto the ambassador. In his memory, he saw fire, and wings. A battlefield long ago. His entire squad burned in seconds. And in the smoke, a shape had flown overhead, a giant, scaled creature with eyes of gold. No one had believed him then. Now, as the humans spoke of dragons, Carex's hands tightened into fists because he had seen one, and it was very, very real. The meeting ended, but Carex did not return to his ship. Instead, he followed the human ambassador into a quiet corner of the station. "Tell me," Carex said, voice low, "do your people still speak of the Thunder God?" The ambassador paused, surprised. "You mean Thor?" Carex nodded slowly. "I saw something once," the alien warrior whispered, "a figure in the storm. Lightning followed him. He held a hammer. My weapons failed. My men disappeared." The ambassador's face turned pale. "That matches a story told on Earth. It was just a myth, or so we thought." Carex stared out the window, toward the stars. It was no myth. It was on the planet Ravax-9, a secret mission. We were told the world was dead. But something waited. There's something powerful. He turned back to the ambassador. "I think your stories are not fiction. I think they are warnings. Years ago, General Carex led a mission to a dead planet. No life signs, no heat, only silence and ash. His team of 12 elite soldiers landed at night. The sky above them rumbled. Then the lightning began. First, their scanners failed. Then the communications went dark. One soldier vanished, no scream, no trace. Then another. One by one, they disappeared into the smoke. Carex shouted orders. His men formed a circle, weapons ready, and then they saw it, a tall figure walking through the storm, glowing with lightning. In its hand, something large, heavy, shaped like a hammer. It moved without fear. Blasts from their rifles hit it but passed through like light through mist. Carex had never known fear before, but that night he felt it. As he ran through the storm, the sky cracked above him, and in the flash, the figure looked directly at him. Carex couldn't forget the eyes in the storm. Years later, he began searching, not through weapons or reports but through human history. He visited an old Earth archive deep under the surface. There, he met Dr. Elira, a quiet human historian who studied myths. "I need to know," he said. "Have you seen this?" He drew the creature from his memory, the lightning, the hammer, the eyes. Elira stared at the drawing. Her hands trembled. She pulled out an old scroll, hundreds of years old. On it was a nearly perfect match. "That's the Thunder God," she whispered. "He protected ancient Earth from dark forces, but the stories say he left, or vanished." Carex studied the scroll. Symbols around the figure spoke of stars, war, and exile. "These myths," he said quietly, "they are not fiction. Are records." And suddenly Carex knew. Something powerful had left Earth and it had gone into the stars. A distress signal echoed from the far edge of the Sol System. An outpost near Pluto had gone silent. The message was short. It woke up. Carex joined the human team sent to investigate. The base was frozen over, torn apart from the inside. Walls were clawed, steel bent like paper. Blood stained the snow. Deep underground, they found a massive chamber inside an empty pod. Frost still clung to its edges. Something had been sleeping there for a long time. Then they found the security footage. A shape 10 feet tall, skin like cracked stone, eyes glowing blue ripped through the walls and vanished into the storm. Carex froze. The creature matched another ancient Earth myth. A frost giant. "Impossible," a soldier whispered. "That's just a Norse story." Carex shook his head. "No, not a story. Not anymore." The myths were moving, and one had just woken up. Inside the frozen base, the team discovered something even stranger: carvings deep in the ice walls. Not alien, not Velkan, not even modern human. They were ancient Carracks, brushed away frost and read the message carved into stone. They sleep beneath the stars. Do not wake the old ones. Dr. Alira, now part of the mission, gasped. This is Old Norse, but older than any we've found on Earth. One carving showed a giant figure holding a mountain, another breathing fire, and a third with a hammer, striking down monsters from the sky. These aren't just warnings, Alira whispered. They're history. Suddenly, one of the soldiers ran in pale, shaking. Something is out there watching. Carracks looked up. Through the cracked ceiling, shadows moved across the icy ridge. The old myths weren't just alive, they were awake, and they were remembering who the real enemies were. A week later, strange signals began to echo through the galaxy. It started near Jupiter-Ran old satellite, long thought dead. Suddenly powered on, it whispered in ancient human languages. Carracks and Alira listened closely. The words matched verses from Earth's oldest legends. One line repeated again, and again the veil thins. The gods remember. More satellites came alive. Some hadn't worked in centuries. Others were alien-built but now spoke in Earth's forgotten tongues. The Galactic Council dismissed it as human tricks. But Carracks knew better. He remembered the being in the storm, the frozen beast, the carvings beneath Pluto. They're not coming, he said. They're already here. Then, all across the stars, systems began to fail. Ships lost power. Moons shifted orbit. Old ruins glowed. Something ancient was moving beneath the surface of reality. Something that once inspired myths on Earth, and now it was waking up again. The Galactic Council gathered in panic. Systems were crashing. Outposts were vanishing. Entire planets going silent. Still, many refused to believe. This is human fear-mongering, a Verax ambassador growled. Just more of their foolish stories, Carracks stood. For years he had been silent, but now he spoke. I led the mission to Ravax-9, he said. I saw the being of lightning with my own eyes. I faced the frost giant near Pluto. I heard the voice of the void. The chamber grew quiet. These are not human fairy tales, he continued. They are real, and they are waking up. Alira stepped forward and held up an ancient scroll. These stories have dates, coordinates, warnings, but no one listened. Carracks turned to the leaders. You mocked their myths. You called them weak, but humans were not telling stories. He paused, then said coldly, they were trying. To warn the galaxy. Across the galaxy, chaos spread like wildfire. On the desert world of Torkin 5, a mountain split in half, revealing a massive skeletal beast with wings of stone. On Vatul Prime, lightning storms formed shapes in the clouds figures, holding weapons from human myth. One by one, ancient signals activated. Forgotten relics once thought art now glowed with energy. Even alien scientists couldn't explain it. Carracks watched it unfold. He stood beside Alira in a deep space observatory, staring at the map of active sites. Each one matched a location in old human legends. They're not returning, Alira whispered. They never left. They were sealed. Waiting. Then Earth sent out a final message across all known frequencies. To all species, stay away. The old ones are no longer sleeping. Many didn't listen. The first alien fleets entered Earth's solar system. Within minutes, the stars around them began to flicker and then go dark. The last fleet reached Saturn and stopped. Something massive floated behind the planet. Not a ship, not a creature, a shadow larger than any moon, stretching across space like smoke with glowing red eyes. It didn't move. It watched. Every scanner failed. Every weapon refused to lock. Now old and wounded, watched the feed from a secure station near Mars. Alira stood beside him, silent. That shape, she said, it matches an ancient Earth myth, the Endbringer, the one who eats stars, and then it moved. Saturn dimmed. Its rings shattered. Silence followed until every broadcast across the galaxy went dead. Carracks recorded one final message. You laughed at their legends, called them primitive. But Earth's stories were never for entertainment. They were not fantasy. They were records left behind to protect others. His last words echoed into the void. They were not myths. They were warnings. And now they have returned.